Hello, and I'm Dan Hollifield. Welcome to Last Man Standing, otherwise known as the Stupid O'Clock After Show. We have, Lord, a lot of ground to cover, and probably we will not cover it whatsoever, but we have special guest Jody McPhee here, and we have our regular guest, Bill Sartain, and thank you for being here, and we're just ever so grateful for all three of you that are watching us. So let's get on with the show. Oh, and hi, Donna. Oh, yeah. Now, why do I get the feeling we're going to be a little bit more relaxed than the usual manic? Wait, Chris wants a link, so we're going to have a fourth person.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can take care of that.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
That was a fairly awesome Stupid O'Clock tonight. We went everywhere and anywhere, and there were no rules. So, and here I am reaching for a pair of glasses I'm not wearing to try and push them up so I can see better. But these things, they happen. Heavenly day. Oh, and Joe, how did the show go when I had to duck out? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Oh, it went well. It was a great interactive show, to be quite honest. People started asking questions, and I answered questions about a lot of the writing processes that I use to create comics. That was great.
Well,
I'm sticking around because of what we talked about towards the tail end of Stupid O'Clock.
Well, go right ahead. You can bring it up again.
Yeah, that was my wheelhouse, dealing with computer languages and old school computing.
Yeah, I cut my teeth on some really old boxes of equipment and learned a lot along the way. It was a great deal of fun. So tell us what was your earliest experience with what could be considered a real computer instead of something that you had to put punch cards in, which my mom used to use at the bank.
Right. See, most people don't realize XENOPS used to make laptop computers way back when. So my first experience with computers was dealing with her laptop that she had with the federal government.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like dealing with the IBM. That was like early, I want to say like 1980s, like 1980, 81. And then from there, I went from, hit or miss use of that to she actually bought us a Tandy 1000 TX.
No, that was a pretty good one.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I recall.
And then at that point, that's when I started to get into basic programming. Well, I should say basic programming as opposed to basic, because that's when you brought it up. It's like translating like Amiga and Commodore 64 to, the TRS-80, or you said the 83. I was like, yep, all three of them have different type of basic language to it. So you have to pay attention to which basic you're using and work right, and
the grammar of the different programming languages is what threw you off, because they would use lots of elements in common, but they also had their own idiosyncrasies, which, if you didn't pay attention, would keep something written for an Amiga from running on a TRS-80.
Mm-hmm.
Oh Lord! Matter of fact, I wrote my first attempt at a novel on the TRS-80, and it was saved to a cassette as squeals and squeaks and whatnot, like an old audio version of a modem used to do. Yeah, I remember back in the day we had to sacrifice a robot to get on the internet, and we had to hear his death screams in order to get online. Oh, Lord.
The early days of the internet, which was not really internet, it was called bulletin boards.
Yeah.
Oh Lord, let me see if I can give it to you again, Chris. Um, it's telling him that tonight's show is a Hallowcon staff meeting, which is nowhere near right. This is the one for what we're in right now, Chris. So um, I apologize if it still don't work because this is the best I could do. Um,
Yeah, I sent him the same one you sent.
well, I sent it to him twice, so
Yeah.
there's obviously some kind of internet problem or StreamYard problem, which is probably more
Yeah,
correct.
probably StreamYard.
Well, I know earlier tonight when I was setting up for my show, StreamYard was dropping my connection left and right.
Mhm.
But it's stabilized, so I don't know.
I've got the world's worst internet connection with uh, the Windstream as my ISP. So it used to be Alltel, then they bought out by Windstream, and they haven't increased the quality in any appreciable degree in the last 25 years. So, what can I say? Uh, if it weren't for how fast this computer is, I'd probably be sounding like a picket fence right now. Well, actually, I'd be sounding like uh, uh, Max Headroom with the stuttering and everything.
Oh yeah.
So probably how I was sounding earlier.
No, you just froze up and kind of
Disappeared.
yeah. You had to close out and reboot, or close out
I
and reconnect.
I did that several times, and the Wi-Fi wasn't coming on, so I would shut the Wi-Fi off and then turn it back on. It would usually work.
Yeah, you got to get
This,
on your neighbor to buy a better Wi-Fi
I'm
connection so
telling
you
you,
can use it.
Keeping you
they
away from participants.
usually I never have a problem on Saturday nights because it's so late, and it seems like the later it goes, the better it works. And
Well,
it's usually Thursday night. Well, Thursday night I had no problem at all. And
they're probably watching BBC British Mysteries or something.
yeah,
It's what my
it's
wife was
anybody's
watching.
guess. Well, the
Uh,
guy that's got the Wi-Fi that's letting me use his guest Wi-Fi, which I'm sure runs a little bit slower speed than his regular one.
these things do happen.
Um, yeah, he's just about a hermit. He doesn't drive. I never see him go anywhere. He has his groceries delivered to him. The only time he ever comes out of his apartment is when he's going out to smoke a cigarette because you can't smoke in the apartments there. And he's a really nice guy and that talkative, but he is just doesn't go nowhere. I guess this day and age you don't have to if you got everything that can be delivered to you. And I see Amazon and UPS trucks pull up in front of his place a couple times, 2-3 times a week.
Well, he's obviously ordering stuff online. So,
Absolutely.
I lived a lot of my life doing the hermit stuff. Hey Chris,
Hello.
I would buy all my supplies and then go home and stay there till the next time I was forced to leave the house.
Welcome to the Hallowcon meeting, Chris.
Well, what I normally do is I normally take an old StreamYard thing and I will delete the tail end of it and put the new link in. And it normally works, but I tried it several times and it didn't. So I just typed the whole thing in and it led right here this time.
Well, I'm glad you finally managed to get the code corrected.
Well, the code was working. It's just, I guess, because I'd used former links so much that they decided they didn't want to work.
Yeah, sounds like almost an autocorrect problem. And here we
Yeah,
go.
if it was my phone, I would say it's autocorrect, but my laptop usually doesn't do that kind of stuff.
And you have your
Hey,
fan club
Donna.
here, or part
And
of your fan club. Uh,
my
Someone with an actual
laptop
club.
is too new to be doing that crap.
Oh,
I say new. It's starting to show a little bit of age. It's 2016.
I couldn't tell you how old my laptop is, but I'm glad that it will be marginally functional for when we're at Hallowcon, in case we actually decide that we're sober enough to try and do stupid o'clock and last man standing.
Well, I'm not too worried about Thursday night. It's Saturday night that I kind of think there's no point in doing it, but that's just me.
Well, and you know what I just found out tonight? Halloween
No.
night, the 31st, is going to be the first episode of Jodie Foster's last season on Doctor Who, and it's going to be broadcast in the UK and the US. And I'm wondering if we're going to organize a room party to watch it in the US, or if I have to flag down a pirate and get a copy of it.
Down a pirate, like,
Arr.
What channel is it going to be broadcast on?
Usually it is either BBC America or BBC Canada.
I don't know if the hotel has that or not, but I will look into it. And if they do, we may be able to look at it from the hotel.
Hey, that would be something to have if there were enough Doctor Who fans to just bring everybody into one big room and go, here's a 50-inch TV. Try and keep up, folks. But
even better than that, have a projector and just a wall.
Yeah, that would be good too. But rest assured, my acquaintances of the pirate persuasion will be asked to supply me with a copy as ASAP. And even if it means that I have to wait until I get home and can use FTP, that's fine with me. I will have an external hard drive along with a laptop. The external hard drive has every existing Doctor Who episode that I have been able to scrounge from 1963 till the close of last season.
I will have to get back to you, see if that's available on their channel lineup at the hotel.
Well, I won't be able to record it anywhere, so I've got to go through channels. But if anybody has a wild hair and they want everything I've got, you're going to have an external hard drive that has at least 300 gigs of empty space.
Oh, that's not that bad. I thought it would be a couple of terabytes.
Nope. It is it's a 1 terabyte drive actually, and right now it's well, I'm not on the right computer to tell you exactly what it is, but it's a little bit upward of 300 gigs. Now, I have not been collecting the stuff in the absolute best resolution possible because I wanted to save space. And with the monitor that I've got, I can't tell the difference between 780 and 1040. So
that part wouldn't matter anyway.
No, no, as long as you can see what you can. And this does have some of the reconstructions, the telesnap reconstructions that I have not been able to buy the new animations to replace. So this is some of it is bare bones, and some of it is right off the air, and some of it is absolute deluxe, and some of it is making ofs and not parody. Well, there is a directory that is parodies of stuff, and there's another one that is sideways, sort of. Not
Okay.
exactly Doctor Who, but has some of the same cast and feel to it. Um, there's the Stranger series with Colin Baker and oh, I knew her name a minute ago. Um, and then some of it is there's one that has uh, uh, Susan Foreman. Oh hell, I'm getting old now. Uh, this senior moments are coming more quickly. Um, in any case, there's a lot of stuff that is sideways to Doctor Who, but loosely connected to it. There are parodies, there are making ofs and best of sort of things. And let's see, Sarah Jane, Torchwood, Class. I've got all of those. Um,
So in other words, it's pretty much kind of like almost a complete filmography on that hard drive.
yep. And there are three of those hard drives. One of them will never leave the house. Uh, no, but I do have one that I will take with me. And if anybody wants and has the time for my rickety old laptop to copy from one to another, you're welcome to it. You just have to bring your own storage media, and we'll plug it up and tell it to go and come back later.
Yep. Depends on how much money they want to spend. Because I know for a fact, the hard drives now are cheap. You can get a good terabyte, 2 terabyte drive for about maybe like $80 to $100.
Oh,
but also at the same time, you can get like a micro SD card that holds that much too.
I usually get my external hard drives through either Western Digital directly or through Newegg or Tiger Direct, and I pay about $50 for 4 terabytes.
Oh, especially if you catch it on sale.
Yeah. Well, that's when I look. I go, hey, that's a good sale for a Western Digital external hard drive. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm wanting to build me a new desktop, but I'm trying to wait till prices get a little more closer to Earth.
I had to give up
stratosphere right now.
I had to give up building my own computers. Hey, Ace, a while back because it just got too aggravating to get all the motherboard stuff typed in, and
it's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot, and I kept getting defective parts from the companies.
Yeah.
Well,
there was one computer we tried to build. We went through like 4 power supplies and 3 the main chipsets. And I just got tired of it. I got tired of it. If you're not going to ship me stuff that's worth anything to begin with, I'm going to stop ordering.
You got to be careful with that stuff. Of course, it's nicer that the newer cases, most of them have motherboard trays, so you got something solid to connect the motherboards to. But you got to be careful. You got to make sure you're grounded. Don't have static electricity built up within your body. You got to have thermal compound. You got to have patience. You got to have enough time to do all this crap.
And you got to know what to type in when it goes, okay, you're almost ready. Just enter these 5 numbers, and yeah, that never works.
That's why I don't do it.
Yep.
Pay somebody else.
I have decided that I will go down to Office Depot and say, what display model do you want to get rid of this week?
No, I can't even do that anymore. Because
Office Depot don't hardly have anything anymore.
No, Office Depot, they will have some stuff, but they won't have the stuff that I would need. They would have something that's like, if you want to type papers and stuff on it, that's perfectly fine. For the type of graphics and stuff that I did on my show,
Yeah.
Well, I'm more of a power user. I want a lot of memory. I want a lot of storage space, and I want a fairly recent video card.
Yeah. I found that the video card, the sound card,
Hmm.
and max out the RAM and
Mhm.
as big as an internal hard drive as you can stand. You know,
Sound cards are
whatever your
actually
wallet will handle. Yeah, sound
are
cards are getting cheaper,
well.
but they're
They're also
not as good
becoming
as they used to be.
well. That's because onboard sound's becoming better,
Mhm.
so they're not bothering to. And the really good sound cards are so much more expensive. A lot of times, especially if you're on a budget, you're just going with onboard sound because it's good enough. Unless you're an audiophile and you just absolutely have to have the best.
Or
Or
you
doing sound mixing,
or
like
Yeah.
you
doing
or you
album
like
sound
me and
mixing
you
and stuff like
compose
that.
your own music.
I knew somebody like that. And then when something better came out, he'd turn around and get it and then end up selling what he had before at less than half the cost.
Hey,
Well,
if I sell anything I've already owned, you better believe I'm deleting the girly pictures.
Yeah.
um,
And I just realized that Ace called us ladies.
I didn't
So he
realize
must
all
think we're
that.
beautiful, I guess. I don't know.
I was gonna
Must be
reply
the
that.
alcohol.
Well, I don't
He
think
got beer goggles on. Don't pay him any attention.
Well, now Donna was commenting right before he came in, so
Well, I
Oh,
was gonna say Donna's the only one that was here at the moment.
well, she's well worth flirting with. So good on you, Ace.
well.
Mhm.
He doesn't want to talk to us. He's got Donna to talk to, for crying out loud.
That's what the private chat's for.
Well, I can't say
Yeah.
to blame him.
Lord,
Oh,
no.
okay. That's what this is. Okay.
But yeah,
I'm
the
just looking at
last I
computer
checked,
parts. That's all.
Computer
the
parts. Yeah, that's what they all say.
No, seriously. What I just was looking at was a SATA connection that I have to like this hard drive. That was in this packet again.
Hmm.
I have another one of these adapters that connects up to a SATA drive.
I've
yeah
got one
when
of those. I've got one of those so that I can copy over stuff without having to actually open up a computer and swap stuff.
Mm-hmm. And just
$900 for a video card is a little bit beyond my budget at the
Damn
moment.
thing better be able to show Star Wars in 16 gig.
Make
yeah,
you
but
feel like you're in Star Wars.
Well, I have
again,
been.
you don't need that type of stuff unless you're creating those type of graphics that
This
is
is
used
true.
in.
No, the problem is everybody has been home throughout all this COVID crap, and they've been building and upgrading computers, and the prices have gone up, and the supply has gone down.
Yeah, really. I don't have a freaking Cray, all right? Just give me a
Yeah.
basic, 10 terabyte hard drive and I'll be happy.
Yeah. Well, solid state drives are starting to become a little more affordable, but
Good night, baby. I love you. Lindsay's going to bed.
yeah.
I'll have to
She
turn out
feeling any better today?
off and on.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, sometimes the grief is flowing back, and sometimes she's remembering the good times instead. So
Yeah.
It takes a while.
It does. It does indeed. I'm surprised that I haven't broken down myself more often than I have today. So
It still works.
good.
Yep.
Yeah, this has been a nice distraction for me because I got to bury a high school classmate tomorrow that I've known since elementary school. Well, actually, it's after midnight, so it's today.
The green room was fun last night.
The green room settles down when I get to join in.
Me too. Every week when I come into the green room, Carl always says, "Oh, Bill, you missed it," and I'm like, "Yes, I know. I always miss it."
That's because they don't wait to drink. They don't
No.
wait in their plastered.
Really, we work on getting plastered before we get there. I mean, we're waiting on Carl to open up the room. Damn it.
Well, I'm at work, so I can't join in till late.
Yeah.
Like I posted today, if you can actually remember conversations that went in the green room, you don't understand the purpose of the green room. Your mind is supposed to be wiped by the time you log out.
Dan, alcohol kills brain cells, but only the weak ones.
That's right. That's why I'm so smart. Decades.
You like that one, huh, Donna?
Oh, Lord. Yeah, and that was a quote from Cheers, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Probably, but I remember it from a college buddy of mine saying that.
Oh, well, they might have stole it for Cheers. But...
That's entirely possible.
I went into Benny's Beverage Depot where Laura works to give her keys back that she gave me last night because she was so tired at the auction. She was starting to do your thing, Dan, kind of nodding off a little bit, and she had a half-hour drive to get home. And I told her, I said, Laura, let me take your dad home, and then you can drive straight home. Just text me when you get home that you're home safe and it'll be good. So she gave me the keys and I took her dad back home, and then she drove straight home. And taking her to Keys today, she wasn't on a register today. They had all these new kids in there, and I didn't see Laura at first, and I'm walking around, and Benny's is a pretty big place, the one in Champaign. The one up in Chicago is huge. It's as big as a Walmart supercenter. But the one in Champaign, the store that was there was trying to think of the name of the bookstore. It's not a Barnes and Noble or Walden's or
Books A Million.
Not a Books A Million.
It's not a former Borders.
Borders, that's it. Thank you, Joe. Anyway, I go up. One of the girls that I've never seen before, and she must have been new. She walked up to me and she says, "Can I help you find something today, sir?" And I said, "Yes." And I said, "Laura," and I said her full name. And she says, "Is that a wine?" And I about died, and I said, "No, that's one of your co-workers." I said, "You must be new." And she says, "Yes, I am." And then I said, "Well, there's 3 different Lauras that work there. So she's known as Laura K. And so I said, "You might know her as Laura K." And she, "Oh, okay." And so Laura was in the stock room getting more stuff out, all the 98-cent alcohol in the little bins that she stocks. And then I told her that. She died laughing. But today was homecoming for U of I.
Not wine, but it's a particularly good vintage.
Yeah, very, very good. Oh, I was about to say the year of the vintage, and I don't think I better say that. I might get
no.
I might get the pots and pans all the way from Urbana over here to hit me in Oakwood.
It'd be like pissing Christine off with a cast iron pan in her hand. Yeah, I still don't know how Ted has survived this long. I love the man, but he got a mouth on him. I swear. I was not that brave with any of my previous wives or the present one. No.
He's like a friend of mine that the words came out before he thinks of what he's saying. And then it usually gets him in trouble.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I keep watching Unsolved Mysteries, expecting him to wind up as one of the feature stories. Man on the shore of Lake Michigan totally disappears without a trace. Well, the suspects are nobody in particular.
Just don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Exactly. They just. It's like
I
he
still
doesn't-
got to go back and watch that show because I missed it, and I was going to watch it on the rerun and see
yeah.
what happened.
Yeah. I don't really remember whether they're going to do one next week or if it's week after next. They still haven't gone back to every week for Drinking with the Davies.
Right.
I think it's every third week of the month at the moment. But this will be the last month they do that. They'll be going back to every week.
And another thing I got to watch on a rerun, Carl Witzman was interviewed by Ryan Permison on, and I quote, today.
Yes, I've got to watch that one on a replay myself. And I've got to watch the rest of Joe's show on replay. I've got tomorrow off, but then I have to go back to work Monday morning, which thrills me to no end.
Well, this eBay stuff has been keeping me so busy, and then everything else that I have to do. It's crazy.
Yeah, but
and that's the reason why I've been missing Brian's shows.
You get to play with so many toys.
I know that's the good part. And tomorrow I got a great big plastic tub full of the orange Hot Wheels tracks and all the little things that goes through and the lap counters and everything. Thank God in heaven above that I cleaned all this. And a lot of it was painstakingly cleaning all that because it sat in the box up in the attic in a garage for 50 years or whatever, which most of this stuff where it was, which was really nice, big 4-car garage. It was, but we had one fatality. And Dan, this is going to hit you where it hurts.
Oh.
We had a 1964 Milton Bradley Beatles Flip Your Wig game.
Oh.
And the upper left-hand corner of the box got, I don't know for sure because I didn't see any remnants of it left, but it almost looked like it got chewed or torn off the corner. Now, it kind of looked like chewed like a mouse, but there was nothing left behind like mice usually leave behind.
Yeah.
So it might have suffered a fate that looked like it, but maybe something them darn Kramer kids did, like drawing on the Major Matt Masons and all that.
Might have been child damage rather than rat damage.
Right. Yeah. So the game board, all 4 of the Beatles game pieces and all the cards, everything is all there. I counted everything. There's no cards missing, nothing like that. But the box and that, which I already sent it off to her, otherwise I could show it to you. But that corner being chewed off, we were a little concerned about it. So what we decided to do was we parted it all out. So all 4 of the game pieces are going to be sold in one lot. I divided up a lot of the cards. The game board is in excellent condition. That's something, if I bid it on it, I'd probably frame it and put it on my wall. It's that wonderful, and it's got beautiful full color graphics of the Beatles on the front. even the little game cards, which I totally forgot all about this. They have there was red and yellow game cards, and the yellow game cards had little illustrations of all four of the Beatles, and the other yellow cards had the Beatles autographs on them, and then the red cards had little illustrations of John, Paul, and George's guitars and Ringo's drums, and it said that John's guitar, George's guitar, so on and so forth. And then the other cards said hit record, and it had a illustration of a record on it, which would be, when I was researching that and finding other people selling all this stuff separately, those were the least valuable of them all. So I put them into lots to make good deals for people, and tried to do them the best I could that way. The box lid has some really nice graphics on it, a little faded, but that one corner, it really bugged the crap out of us. And between me and Laura talking it over with the boss lady, that's just how we ended up having to sell it. Of all things that they had, that had to be the one.
I have a question. Did they have a copy of the Addams Family game?
I did not see that. They had a lot of games. They had the first edition of Battleship,
Okay.
and old copies of Monopoly, of course.
Yeah.
One thing they had a first edition of a Spirograph
Oh, wow.
that had not been touched.
Ooh.
Nobody used it. Everything was all there, and
I bet the ink pens were dry, but good Lord.
yeah, you couldn't use ink. I put I think it was a $35 price tag on it, because we couldn't find anything on eBay that sold for over 25. So I thought, I'm just going to put a big price on it, because the second day would be half price day, and then it would bring it down to it sold on the first day.
Oh, Lord, yeah.
For the full, it was. But no, I wish they did have the Addams Family one.
Well, yeah, the reason I asked, I've never actually seen a copy of it to know what the game actually was. I have seen a photograph of the box,
right?
But that's it. So, and I'm a big Addams Family fan, but I don't have the wherewithal to pay collector prices for something that is rare. It would be nice to know what the game entailed, to see exactly what the play was like and things like that.
I can't think of the guy who was the original, and maybe Jody can help me on this. The original illustrator for the Addams Family little strip.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, Adams. Charles Adams. Yeah. Well, I knew his last name was Adams, but I couldn't remember the first name.
Yep.
But you see some of the prices of his prints.
Do you know where those things were published? I mean, the New Yorker and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
You got to pay premiums to them before you can get a hold of the originals.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
Man, have you seen the colorized photos of Carolyn Jones?
Oh. Lord,
beautiful
she's a
woman.
beautiful lady.
Beautiful.
That makes me think about all the other board games that I wouldn't mind getting my hands on again, like the first edition of Emergency. Okay, because my brother used to own that board game, and I remember playing that as a kid.
I tell you what,
game show the home version of all these different game shows. The first editions of those.
Yep.
I want a
I
I will be right
remember,
back.
I remember
Tower.
a lot of those. I remember a lot of those. Password with a little color filter on there so you could see the
Right.
secret words.
Exactly. That password
No,
one of them. The $10,000 pyramid was another one that had a home game
Uh-huh.
similar to that.
Good
Family
night,
Feud
Carly.
with the sliding board or whatever it was.
I
Now,
want the Dark Tower.
the Dark Tower, the
Yeah,
Stephen
that was a
King
board game.
Tower
Yep.
game?
Yep. It
Okay.
had electronic centerpiece and it had a map. And those are very rare.
I did not even know that existed.
Oh, I had a blast playing it when I was young.
Now, something I did back not too long after I graduated college, we were big into playing Risk. And we had gotten past the point of where we could shove two Risk boards together and play on two worlds at the same time. So I took an old tabletop that I had and a piece of mat board, the good 1/4 inch thick mat board, and I drew a complete globe, including Antarctica and the oceans, and made a round table Risk game. And you had to have like 2 games worth of pieces to play this stuff. And we actually made Antarctica a playable country. We actually made the oceans playable countries.
I just found a original edition of that game that's in great condition. The seller is wanting $599.
That's
I
that's
wouldn't doubt
that's
it.
just like trying to track down a 1970s version of Clue,
Yeah, it would be. It would be.
because
Or
the original Clue sold for so much, but the first time that they actually put real people, used people as the actual models for like Colonel Mustard, Miss Scarlet, and all of them in the 1970s. That's the one.
oh, was
And
that
I still have mine somewhere, but it's not in the best shape.
was that the
Well,
one based on the movie?
mm-mm.
No?
Well, the movie is based. Yeah, there's a movie based upon a board game. Yes.
Well, I knew that, but I thought maybe they had done an edition of the board game
No, there
based
was
on
later
the
editions.
actor in the
There was
movie.
later editions, but the original I want to say 1973 to 74 board game
Oh yeah.
was the first time that they actually had actual people. They actually took photographs of people as those characters.
Rather than just drawings.
Mhm.
Jody, there is a Return to Dark Tower Kickstarter. It looks almost exactly. It's not quite exactly, but it's very close. It's $179.99.
Okay, give me a second here, because that's one of the things that us growing up the way that we did.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of kids don't know about board games, to be quite honest.
And it was one of the first hybrids along with Electronic Battleship to come about.
Mm-hmm.
And Bill, that game is probably worth more than Steve Austin is now. Not that what
That looks so familiar. Even the tower that's in the center looks so familiar.
And like I said, it's not exact, but it's pretty dang close.
they're playing on our memories, gentlemen. They want our wallets emptied.
Well, I can afford $179.99 better than I can $599.99.
Well, yeah. That's like I can. That's like I could say I can afford a case of beer better than you can afford a brake job on the van.
Oh,
$30
this is nice. Did you see the picture about the internals to the tower itself?
No. like I said, it just threw me a link to it.
Mm-hmm.
The Kickstarter. I haven't had a chance to really scroll down on the screen yet.
Yeah, because if you scroll down, it actually shows you what's at the tower is actually made of, and talking about the different motors and everything that goes into that centerpiece tower, like for the game itself. So this is wow. This is a throwback.
It's really close to it. Like I said, it's not exact, but it is really close to it.
Well, somebody's going to be happy when they get it.
Well, like I said, I got too dang many things that I want to do and not enough money to do them all. So prioritizing and waiting's the name of the game.
Tell me about
that $100 and something that could go a lot towards getting books printed. That's all I could say right there. It's like, yeah, this is a nice throwback. It would be nice to get as a gift.
Yep, I've got to.
If I win the lottery, I get us all a copy of it. But until that happens.
Yeah, well, winning the lottery, that's the hard part.
Yeah. Well, it can't be one of those cheap scratch offs. It's got to be a fairly sizable jackpot. But if it happens, I'll do it.
Yeah, I was thinking about that today. What would I do if I actually won a big lottery? And I rarely ever play, but
same here. I mean, you got to be smart about playing. As they like to say, play responsibly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah.
When you can afford to throw away a few dollars if necessary, and go for it.
That's most of the time. That's what it is. Just actually donate a few dollars because you're never going to see them again.
Well, you're helping somebody else win some money.
In that long chance. Yeah, well, in Georgia, we're lucky that a lot of the, well, I won't say a lot, but a good percentage of the lottery ticket price goes to local schools.
Yes.
So, I don't mind that.
They didn't make a mistake that Florida did. Florida put their lottery earnings in with the general budget fund.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
you can imagine all the problems that created.
Somebody wins, the state's out of money.
Well, not only that, the state tends to want to take the profits made from it and put them into whatever port projects they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then write a budget to say, oh, we had this amount of extra last time. Now what we're going to do is raise the price on a ticket another $1 before we could make certain that we have the same amount of money the next time. So you go from like a $1 ticket to like a $3 ticket, just like that.
Yep.
Whereas it was written into law to be part of Georgia's education budget and separate from the general fund.
Mm-hmm. Also, it's not like how they do it here with Illinois, where they put a cap, and that I think that hurts a lot of schools when there's a cap, because here the lottery hit that cap 9 times out of 10 within the first 2 to 3 months of the fiscal year. And then everything extra goes into another discretionary fund,
which gets stolen by a politician.
Yeah,
yeah. I'm in favor of the school systems getting a set percentage all the time, no cap. Mm-hmm. If somebody spends $65 billion trying to win the lottery, and 2% of that's supposed to go to schools. I don't want that stopped after February,
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Give them a whole 2%.
Yeah, really.
No, it's that 2%. It's like, yeah, there's 2% all the way up to this dollar amount. And once you hit that dollar amount, then the rest goes into this other fund. It's like, yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah,
there shouldn't be a cap.
I agree. There should not be a cap on how much that we can do the stupidity tax on buying lottery tickets and have a percentage of that donated to our schools, because that's the main reason that I would be willing to risk a couple of dollars on a lottery ticket. If I know, if I'm spending $3 on a lottery ticket and 30 cents goes to the schools, yeah, don't chop it off after X amount of dollars.
Yep.
Keep it going, because there's going to be people that are going to be playing that lottery all year long. When your cap is reached by February, March, April, then all the rest of that going into that separate fund is just, okay, how can we steal this?
Yeah, the bad part about the originals of those games, Jody, is they're like 40 years old now, and so I'm sure some of the parks are on their last legs. This actual Kickstarter project's brand new stuff. You're unless you're just planning on keeping an original in a box and just getting it out and showing it to people and not actually playing it all the time. You're better off doing the Kickstarter where you've got a brand new game that you can enjoy for a long time, hopefully.
Yeah, Ace, we agree. A cap is not right. And
did you mute yourself, Bill?
Yep, I think so.
Dang, I'll tell you. I was doing my Godzilla movie impersonation. You would have heard me eventually. But no, what I was trying to say was when Laura and I take her dad up to Elk Grove Village to get his shots for his macular degeneration, which that's coming up a week from Tuesday, I believe, now that I think about it. We stop off at Gilman to get gas, and we'll go into the Pilot up there, and we'll spend $5 on a bingo scratch off because we seem to do pretty good on that. And then we'll spend a couple bucks on a Mega Millions or whatever and get out of there under $10. And we only do this once every, well, recently we've been going up there every couple weeks up until lately, but typically once every 6 weeks. And sometimes a little bit more, but not much. So we're not spending a lot. We're contributing, hopefully, to the schools and the roads. Yep. And every once in a while, we do pretty good. In particular on the scratch-offs. That bingo one's kind of fun to play.
Yeah, I will get a Mega Millions and a Powerball about once a month, maybe every other month. And I'm winding up spending like $5, and I've got sometimes I've got my $5 back, so no big deal. But haven't ever hit the big lottery yet. Otherwise, why would any of you even know me? Because I would disappear and buy an island off the coast of Jamaica somewhere and hide from everybody, especially the IRS. But no, it would be nice. It's a nice fantasy to dream about winning a big lottery, but
yeah,
it's not a retirement plan. No. I know a lot of folks that spend most of their well, shall we say, I wouldn't call it disposable income because they really shouldn't dispose of it, but any of their spare change that should have gone to something else on either scratch offs or the big lottery tickets. And so many people spend money and so few people actually win.
And Ace, to answer your question, and I think Joe can agree with me living up north there, they spend money on the roads all the time. It seems like they're always working on the roads in Illinois, but I don't know that they ever get them done.
it's not about too much money on the roads, and this is my complaint about it. It's just the quality of material that they use on the roads is not worth
Right.
half a darn.
Well, and it's not just that, it's the fact that the roads freeze and they break up and the pavement doesn't last as long up there as it does, say, parts further south. We have problems in our area, but ours is from all the transfer trucks um, hauling carpet and heavy flooring, hardwood and vinyl tile and all that stuff.
And then you look at the roads the Romans built in Europe. And 2,000 years later, there is still a whole lot better than what we got over here.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have potholes at all.
Yeah, but the ride's a little rough in places.
Hey,
but they have lasted. I will give you that.
that was some good workmanship there. And that pattern still exists. And there is what was it? A couple of scientists figured out that the way that the Romans did concrete
Yeah,
to cast stuff, they used I believe it was something from volcanic ash in there, so that not only did it weather really, really well, but as time went on, the chemical compound in the cement got stronger rather than getting weaker. Now that's technology we could use today.
Well, Vesuvius did have some ash blow out fairly often, so
Yeah, really, that's one of the regular ones. Vesuvius,
especially around 79
yeah.
AD.
There's oh Lord,
Didn't turn out so good for the citizens of Pompeii, but
or Herculaneum, yeah. But they knew they were living next to an active volcano, so maybe it's time to move to Brittany rather than stay in Italy there.
Well, I mean, you'd have been fine if you moved to, you know, the Latvian plateau.
But that's the thing. Oh, and we've got a lot of active volcanoes on the coast of the Pacific Ocean now that are really getting fired up for some strange reason.
The Romans were excellent builders and engineers. I mean, they diverted the Tiber River in Rome.
I've had people make fun of me because I've told them that I use Roman engineering techniques for some of the stuff I do, and they're looking at me like, yeah, that's nice. I'll stick to my whatever, and I'm going, no, you don't understand. This is stuff that people can do.
Yeah.
And using simple materials to build something outrageously great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And their use of arches.
And planes and lift one end and put a shim under it, and lift the other end and put a shim under it until you've got something you can build an archway over. And all this stuff has stood the test of time.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, I don't want to interrupt you here, but I'm going to have to head out.
Yeah.
I got kind of an early day tomorrow and all that, but thank you so much for letting me come on here and stupid o'clock, and great seeing everybody and that. And we will see you Thursday night.
All right.
On there.
Thank you very much, Bill.
Yep. Bye, Candias.
To have you.
Yep. Have a good week.
Yep. Thank you.
Yep. Have a good week.
Oh, and what was it? Here, his mom's school lunch late.
Yep.
Yeah. They need a bigger budget. They really need a bigger budget. There's no reason why any child should be going hungry in a school.
Yep. And bless them, they've got to deal with circumstances that a lot of people wouldn't enjoy. Where you
Yeah.
got, they got to deal with all these regulations, and they get to see kids that barely get enough to eat, and all sorts of situations that I don't envy them one bit.
Mm.
They
Not,
don't get enough credit for all
I
the
don't.
stuff
I
that
don't
they
either.
have to
But
deal with.
school lunches ought to be a big part of every state's budget.
Yeah,
mhm. And
Uh,
I bet you both of you guys have their schools have what we consider hot lunches, being that they are actually made and served,
yeah,
as opposed to some of the schools up here that gets the manufactured, microwaved up type stuff, which it's like school boards need to understand. We have to go to a full scale. We have to have a full kitchen type lunch there
well,
because the
the obvious
quality
solution to
quality
that
makes a
is
difference.
take away the budget for paying school uh, uh, administrators
Mhm,
and the county commissioners in charge of schools and give it to the damn schools.
mhm,
yeah. And if they can just quit wasting taxpayers' money across the board, it would help.
mhm.
With the lunch ladies are not wasting any money. They can
I'm not
make a
talking
dollar
about the
straight
lunch
real
ladies.
fall, but
I'm talking about the government bureaucrats
yeah,
Mhm.
those are the ones that need to be a minimum wage
and,
forever.
and the department heads.
Hmm. Still minimum wage.
Yeah.
Um, oh, you, you about to get me to get political. I shouldn't do that. Uh, I,
Well, like I said, it's not a political thing when you want kids to be fed properly, the
Mhm.
people feeding them to be
and
able to make a living properly.
and
That shouldn't be a dispute between anybody.
and good teachers and school supplies and everything else without the teachers having to pay for it out of their own pocket
Exactly.
because they're underpaid to start with.
Mhm. And then you take all the exemptions and stuff away from them when they do that.
Yeah.
It's not worth it anymore. And it's like no wonder you don't have people going into that profession anymore like you used to.
Well, there's no respect for teachers anymore. Have you not seen the
Well,
political cartoon from back when we were young? The
Mm-hmm.
the parents looking at us and like, "What's wrong with you? Because you're not doing what the teacher says you need to do." And now it's the parents looking at the teachers like, "What's your problem?"
yeah, you,
I mean,
you gave my kid a bad grade. What do you think you're getting away with? Your kid's stupid. That's why you got a bad grade.
well,
Doesn't do the damn homework, and your kid's
Mm-hmm.
lazy
like I
because
said, there's no respect for the profession anymore.
I know. My
Back in
parents
the 1800s, teachers were one of the most respected professions out there.
my parents actually discouraged me from becoming a science teacher back when I was just graduating high school. They said, "Look, there's no money in that. You'll never be able to make enough to live." And true words were never spoken. I could have spent half my life getting a decent education where I could teach kids and still be so handicapped that the kids aren't allowed to learn anything.
No, because the focus is on passing tests, and they teach them how to pass tests, not actually learn stuff.
Yep, I was one of the earliest generations that used those standardized aptitude tests
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
to determine how much of the state budget that individual schools got.
Yeah, the Iowa Basic Skills Test and the
Mm-hmm.
CRT
Mhm.
test.
Mm-hmm.
You would
Yeah,
do one set of years, and then you would do the next one a year or two later, and they would alternate.
I believe it was
it's
like first grade, third grade, fifth grade, and your last year of grammar school, depending on if you had junior high or not.
Yeah,
it seemed to be every other year, yeah. And the weird thing was in the '60s in East Tennessee, we'd be doing these standard multiple choice tests for all that stuff. And you know who was there really paying attention to what the kids scored? military recruiters.
Mm-hmm.
It's
They
like,
use the ASVAB test to
we're
track
8 years old and
careers.
you want us to enlist?
No, that's the thing. I can tell you this firsthand. The ASVAB test, the military wants to know who in a possible recruiting class would fit certain categories and certain programs, and then they could fast track them
Yeah.
into that program. They don't have to wait. They don't have to wait until after the end of boot camp or basic training. They know exactly where you're going to go as soon as that basic training or boot camp is done. You
Because they
don't get to
found out
choose.
what you're
You
good
don't
at.
get to choose anymore. That aspect told them you're going here.
Well, the scary thing was that I was living in the Knoxville nuclear belt with Oak Ridge right there. My dad worked at Oak Ridge, and I'm going, the reason this school's got so much money is they want kids to grow up and work in Oak Ridge. You know, you don't want stupid people building atomic bombs.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Or working on nuclear power plants.
Mm-hmm.
So they had a lot. They had a bigger budget than almost any other school I've ever been in any other state I've ever been in, and they had stuff that was absolutely wonderful from a child's point of view.
Yep.
But
Mm-hmm.
now that I'm older, I'm wondering about the ulterior motives of some of that stuff.
Well, of course. And then, you said you were interested in science. I'm pretty sure they had one of the best science departments in any high school in the country.
Mhm.
I'm sure their math department was pretty stout as well.
Yep, math, chemistry, science.
Physics.
Yep, and we had the school was kindergarten through 12th grade,
Yeah.
so they got you all the way through. And
Oh wow.
by the time you were ready to graduate, they knew everything about you and everything you were good at, and exactly how to approach you to go. Um, would you like a job at Y12 gas diffusion plant?
Hmm.
My dad says that's really boring work, so no. No, my dad is one of the few people I ever know that actually worked at Y12 and quit because it wasn't challenging enough to his skills as a machinist.
Hmm.
I mean, hand to God, if you couldn't keep my dad interested in doing something, and here in Georgia when we moved, he was making parts for jet airplanes and whatnot using just bare metal in a machine shop. And if you can't keep a man with that kind of talent busy and interested in doing what they're doing to the best of their ability, you are doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Or the
You're not going by
processes.
a book. You're going by a formula. You're not going by, hey, we need this. Can you come up with a way to do it?
Not just come up with a way to do it. Can you come up with a way to do it better?
Yep.
Exactly.
Everything was form fitting. So yeah, he's going to be bored. He's going to be bored with it.
Yeah. You give my old man a set of blueprints and a pallet full of raw material in a machine shop, and he could make any damn thing you wanted. He did not invent things. He just made parts.
Yeah.
But at
But
one
you
time,
put it.
at one time when he was working for uh, what was it? Oh, it was while he was in Knoxville. He actually got some assignments from NASA, and he made parts for the lunar rovers.
Mhm.
So one day, long after he had retired from everything, and I don't know if he was just forgetting that the Official Secrets Act existed or what, but he took me out in the yard and we were looking up at the moon, and it's a nice, beautiful day, and he goes, you know, those little dune buggies that they took to the moon, my fingerprints are on some of those parts for that thing because I made parts for them to be built. And I'm going, Dad, why didn't you tell me this 50 years ago?
I wanted to do that, but when they offered me that job, it's like,
Yeah, really?
Lord.
I,
It's like,
I don't care if it's one little sprocket, you know. I'd be
That's
proud
cool
of
as
being
hell.
able to be part of that.
Yeah, that's cool as hell.
Yeah. And they're still up there, and well, Dad's up there now too. So, yeah, the weird stuff that happens in these innocent moments that you don't see coming, and if you're young enough, you don't see the significance of it. But then later on, when you've got a little bit of perspective, you do see just how important some of this stuff was back in the day.
Yeah.
Uh, when we were kids, my sister and I used to collect lightning bolt lightning bugs, and they got sent to Oak Ridge Laboratories to study the phenomenon of bioluminescence and how it came apart. And from there, they invented glow sticks. So I helped glow sticks happen, and I was barely old enough to write coherently. I could sign my name and I could read a book, but that's about it.
And you remember the jars that with the holes poked in it, where you catch them and put a little bit of grass, and then you close it up, and they survive.
Yeah.
I got a feeling me and Joe are in fairly close proximity age wise. I remember the big deal when Skylab was failing and they were worried about when it was going to light it.
I barely remember that they was talking at one time that Skylab was going to fall.
Yeah,
just fall completely straight down until they figured something out. But that's
they were worried till I figured it out.
That was a very faint memory.
I was of the age that was outraged that they would allow it to fail instead of going to fix it and put it in a more stable orbit. And I'm going, you got money for... Oh, yeah. Sorry. Nixon. Sorry, you don't have any money.
Well, it wasn't only that. It was, and it may have been Skylab too, I'm thinking of, because it was during the Carter administration when you had the fuel crunch. I was really young when that happened, but I do remember that. I do remember long lines waiting for gas.
Oh, yeah, and we had to pay a whole 75 cents a gallon. Yeah, it was...
Well,
I remember my dad complaining that it went up from 12 cents to 13 cents a gallon.
Well, like I said, I was really young, and I remember my parents going. My grandmother, my paternal grandmother, lived in South Georgia. So we went to visit her, and then we took a little mini vacation to Savannah and the coast. And when we were coming back, when you go Savannah, the logical thing to hit back then was I-16. Well, the thing I remember about it is miles and miles of nothing, but there was this one exit that had this huge gas station / truck stop, and so many people waiting to get fuel.
Yeah. I do remember the fuel lines in the 70s.
And somebody told me a couple years ago when I mentioned it, said there's still only one stop on I-16. It's a huge gas station.
Yeah, that's not a design flaw. That's a feature. It gets people to go to the Fuddruckers, you know.
I'm sure there's more than that, but like I said, it's a funny memory.
Yeah. No, seriously, I do remember when gas was 12 cents a gallon.
I don't have that memory. I barely remember how people was complaining about $1 a gallon.
Well, Fred Flintstone is one of my descendants. So.
Well, I got family that live in Kansas City, Missouri area.
Mhm.
And I remember going in May of 2001. And I was going to see my aunt, and my uncle, and my cousins, and all that, and hopefully catch a Royals game.
Mhm.
Um, I remember being pissed off because gas was $1.61 a gallon because it was about 98 cents here.
Mm.
Wow.
Yep. It's
And then
amazing.
I remember when it was
Prices across
almost
the country.
$4 a gallon, and I'm like, damn, I wish it was $1.61 again.
Yeah. Yep. I can remember having to spend an entire day's pay for 3 weeks worth of gas. And I didn't drive anywhere except to work and back.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the grocery stores I had to stop at were on the way home.
Hmm.
So, there was no excess shopping or spending
Yeah.
whatsoever. Um, I'm going to go and hit the restroom and get me another beer. Do you guys want me to play a commercial or do you want to just talk between yourselves?
I'm good with either. I can talk with you.
That's up to you. Now,
Well, I mean, the rising tide does not really need a commercial. So, you
right.
know, yeah, keep
I'm,
keep the flow going and
Yeah,
I'll be right back.
because as of right now, I was like, at least we're not as bad as overseas.
oh, yeah. It's, well, I've seen a
$16
picture.
a gallon for gasoline. I'm like, yeah, I will not be driving anywhere anytime soon in like Great Britain or Italy or stuff like that. That's too
I
much.
saw a picture of gas pump in California recently. It was $13.79 for regular unleaded.
So that tells me that somebody's not getting tanker trucks over there.
Yeah. Well, there was, I've heard anywhere from 66 to 88 uh, ships waiting to be unloaded at Long Beach.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I read something like it was normally that amount of ships would take a few weeks to get unloaded.
Mm-hmm.
I heard it was estimated to take 784 days.
That's because they don't have nobody working.
Well, they
Those
don't have
areas are
anybody
closed.
working. Everything is tested for COVID.
Mm-hmm.
The workers constantly being tested for that. And then you have, the taking, once they get off the containers off the ships, you got to get them transported to various places.
Mm-hmm.
And the trucking industry already had an old employee population, and a lot of them were either getting ready to retire or decided, I've had enough of this crap.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard for them to get workers because when people wound up making more money staying at home, they didn't want to go back to work.
That plus again, people younger, way younger than us, look at driving a truck as menial. It's not. It's not. That's not a true living. It's like, yeah, it really is a true living. You get to travel. You get all the benefits and everything. You be on the road most of the time, but it was a legitimate job that you
Yes,
can make a career out of. But
and they
it's
are
not. It's not
paying.
the glamorous type stuff. It's like I'd rather be a social media influencer. It's like, what does that really do? Other than almost pretty much conning people into giving you money or conning people into buying a product that is not the substandard.
Yeah, or basically just promoting your own self, and
Mhm.
you're not really providing any value to the economy as a whole. You might be adding value to your bank account, but that's not helping a whole lot of people.
Exactly.
And the pay for truck drivers is going through the roof.
Exactly.
It may not be glamorous, but it is paying out the wazoo.
I think my brother regrets having given up being a truck driver. He owns his own business now,
Hmm.
and it's lucrative enough to where he's putting his kids through school and stuff like that. But
I saw a figure where the cost of shipping stuff from China to the West Coast in January of this year was like 6,000 some odd dollars.
Hmm.
I think it was 32,000 it's gone up to in September of. I posted it in Stupid O'Clock.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. It was an outrageous amount. Even more so when you think there's very little to come from China that we actually need
Yeah.
that we couldn't make here if people were still employed.
Well, that's the problem. You had all these people that own these companies that sent them overseas so they could make more money and pay less for costs. But now it's backfiring on them.
Not just less for cost. You also put out the quote unquote lie that we need this over here. We need more executives over here. We need more of these type of people instead of hands-on craftsmen. It's like how many managers do you actually need? How many people that deal with marketing do you really need? You really don't need that many.
Yep, that reminds me of a cartoon where you have one guy rowing a boat and you've got 50 other people in management sitting behind him going, we've cut all these corners. How many more managers do you think we need to be able to get another 5 miles an hour out of this guy?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I found the actual figures. January 2021, $6,380. Now the freight cost is $30,128, and it could climb higher.
Mm-hmm.
I think the problem was that we allowed the people that run companies to think that making a profit is more important than providing jobs so people can make a living. And making a profit meant put those people on unemployment. We'll get people in third world countries to do the same job for nothing.
Well, that's the thing about it. You know, you can't exist solely as a service economy, which they've tried to make the United States into. You need to have some manufacturing, you need to have agriculture, and I'm not just talking about corporate agriculture.
Mm-hmm.
No, no.
You need to have service. You need to have the combination so you've got stuff to balance out each other.
I think when mom and pop family farms fell out of favor for the big corporate farms,
Yeah,
that was a huge mistake.
it was.
Mm-hmm.
There were
And
not only people that have been doing this for decades and being able to feed their neighbors and provide for industries that created stuff out of the byproducts or even the main products of just home farms.
not only that, you had them getting undercut their prices by all these corporate ones that could offer far more for far less, and they're getting less money, and they've got to buy new equipment, they've got to repair stuff, and the loans they were getting, and they were going under and having to sell family farms because they couldn't afford it anymore.
Yeah, really. When a tractor costs $50,000, when a house and 10 acres of land costs $20,000.
And that doesn't even take into consideration the property taxes that they're having to pay.
Oh
In
yeah,
addition to the
yeah,
loan
it's
payment.
outrageous. It's outrageous. But nowadays, I'm paying close to $1,200 property tax on a little bitty brick house and a 1.25 acre of land, half of which is woods that I can't do anything with.
That's because you live in metropolitan Atlanta, even if you are on the outskirts of it.
90 miles away, yeah. And
And
I'm shuddering to think what my mom is paying on property taxes on the 68-acre family farm.
well,
Which
if
is
she's over
they're growing
70,
nothing now except occasionally somebody will bale hay off of it.
If she's over 70, she should get a significant discount on her property insurance
She's
taxes.
almost 78 now.
Yeah, if they're over 70, they're supposed to have an exemption where they can get a substantial reduction in their property taxes.
Well, she's already got it in the land bank, which means she gets paid for not farming.
Yeah,
That's
and
part of the problem when the government pays you not to farm.
Mm-hmm. And I'm saying 68 acres. I could be over there growing corn and soybeans and or if somebody passes some sensible laws, I could be growing marijuana because 68 acre field, I can do that.
I think when the Georgia
That'd make a lot of
legislature,
medicine right there.
I think when the Georgia legislature figures out how much tax revenue they can make off of growing marijuana, it might change their minds. But right now, you've got the
No, I live in Georgia. The defining point is, when can we see some bribe money?
yeah.
That's sad.
Yep.
That
Well, that's
also
politics.
That also comes back to the problem that I foresee about everything that we're talking about. You may mention about companies. I don't think it's companies. I believe it's shareholders. Because those who invest in these companies, there's no regulation as far as what they can demand on return on investment. So if they come back to, let's say, if I was like a 50% shareholder in Coca-Cola, let's use that as an example. I could come to Coca-Cola and say, I want 80% return on my investment. And you have to do exactly what is needed to get my 80%.
There's few people with that much clout in the company. Now, there are executives who are thinking about shareholders and wanting to make it profitable so more people buy more stock in the company and they make more money and they get more shares of it, which is worth more. But I don't think it's as much of a case of individual shareholders. There may be some instances where that happens, but as a whole, I do not think that is part of it. I think most of it is the executives in charge thinking about their own stock options, increasing the value of the stock, and not caring how they do it.
The old-fashioned double dipping, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And the thing all started to go downhill when they put the accountants in charge of making executive decisions about the company. Oh, this will save us 10/17 of a penny. So you've got to cut out 10,000 people from this district. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's when the CFOs become the CEOs or the COOs.
The industry I work in has been totally ruined by putting the inmates in charge of the asylum. Basically,
Well,
the accountants now make all the executive decisions
and
because
this
their game, their trip, their power play is always, how can we shave off a fraction of a penny on this cost or that cost so that we can increase the profit margin just a little bit more.
Well, they don't stop to think about the cost involved in doing that because you may be saving money in this area, but it may be costing you more in this area. It's like the conversation I had with you and Willow the other night. The problem is you got all these motivational speakers that these companies pay you high dollars for that say you can do this. All you got to do is believe it and make it happen. Where they're in a totally different field where they don't have to prove any of this. They don't have to back it up with empirical data. All they do is collect their checks, and all these executives and upper management, like, all you got to do is believe it and make it happen. And they don't think about the practicality or impracticality of this stuff. And they wind up costing the company way more money because they think they're going to save more money and get a bigger bonus.
And one of the corollaries to that is that the people who are actually in charge, the upper level management, are believing this motivational speaker bullshit,
Exactly.
and they're
And they
forgetting
don't
about the people that actually do the work.
and know how things work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
It's like I was telling someone the other night. What you do is if you're relatively new with a company and you're in management, you take all your education that you have, but you observe. You figure out who knows what the crap they're talking about and what they're doing. And you talk with that and you take their ideas and their knowledge and you put your ideas and your knowledge and you use both to come up with ideas that'll
Mhm.
work better. You
Mm-hmm.
don't just take this stuff just because you have an education. You're like, oh, they're just a common, worker.
Mm-hmm. They don't know anything. They've just been doing the job for 50 years.
Because I will tell you something.
Mhm.
There's an area in front of my grandfather's property. When the DOT came to widen the roads in front of it, he said this area collects a lot of water and it doesn't drain well. And you need to make sure you've got proper drainage for it. And because he was an older guy and he had to drop out of school at a young age and help out with the family farm, and he's country sounding, he didn't know what the crap he was talking about.
Oh, of course not. The engineers are the only ones that know anything.
And naturally, if it comes a really, really heavy rain, that area has trouble draining, even though they've got a um, sewer drainage area in the concrete up on the curb. They
That
didn't allow for enough room of it and enough
yeah,
drainage.
it's way too small because they didn't allow for common sense.
And the thing is, if they'd listened to him properly and done it properly, it would have worked better.
Yep.
And
But
that's
that's the thing you do when you're in a position where you're new with the company and you're in management. That's what you need to do. You need to figure out who the crap knows what they're talking about and what they're doing, and
Well,
use their knowledge
and
in yours.
most importantly, you need to find out who the bullshit artists are and not listen to
Mhm.
them.
Exactly. Well, that's part of figuring out who knows what the crap's going on and what they're doing.
Exactly, but that's a very important part,
Yeah.
and that gets ignored a lot of times.
And the problem is a lot of people, a lot of companies, when they want to promote within, they don't want somebody that's got some sense and intelligence. They want a yes man or a yes
Yep,
woman.
Mhm.
yep, exactly.
And you know the old saying, it ain't necessarily what you know, it's who you blow.
Mhm. Yeah, in most cases,
There's
yeah.
still more of that goes on in this world than anybody wants to admit to.
Mhm.
Well, when you promote the ass kissers instead of the ones that know their ass from a hole in the ground, you're
Mhm.
in trouble, and you're going to keep digging that trouble even deeper.
Yeah.
And
Unless you've got enough people there that can make it work enough to where it's not going to fall on
It's
their face.
it's very very hard
Yeah.
to overcome the limitations put upon you by the people that don't know what's going on and how to do the job.
It is hard to overcome incompetence.
Mhm.
Very, yes. One incompetent person can do more damage than 500 competent people can mend.
If
Mhm.
they're in the right spot, definitely. If
Mm,
they're not in a position where they can cause as much damage, you can mitigate it to some degree. But if they're in a position of leadership or authority and they make poor decisions and poor choices,
mhm.
it's going to affect you. And like I said, you may be able to mitigate it to a certain degree, but you're not going to be able to overcome it completely.
Oh, no, no. The company I work for has got a long history of people that think they know their ass from a hole in the ground and abruptly find out that they don't.
Yeah.
And they're in positions of authority, so they do a lot of damage to everybody that does know how to do what needs to be done
Yeah. Well, the thing
before
is,
they're either fired or promoted out of that position or sidelined to a harmless position
yeah.
with a nice sounding job title.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, that doesn't always happen.
No, it doesn't.
If you can get them,
It doesn't happen anywhere near frequently enough to salvage, to recover from the damage that one stupid person can make just because I'm in the position to make decisions and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and y'all just have to follow along.
well, I can't tell you how many times I have to go back behind people and fix their work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there's no point in me going on and on about it because it's going to fall on deaf ears. And sometimes sometimes the fix is easy enough. It's easier for me to just do it and move on than it is to. But if they're wondering why I might not be doing as much as some other people on paper, it's because I'm having to go back and fix their foul ups,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't want to hear about it. Because I may be taking more time, but I'm saving more time in the long run for everybody.
I'm having to train a guy right now at work, and I'm showing him, look, this is the way you do it when somebody's watching.
Mm-hmm.
This is the way you do it when nobody's watching, and you get the same results, but it takes less time. And you don't have to work as hard.
Are they listening?
Yes, he is, because I made him learn the hard way first.
Yep.
And he's going, what you do makes much more sense. I go, yeah, but you got to know how to do it the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
somebody in a suit and tie is going to walk up while you're trying to do something, and you're going to have to switch over and do it their way instead of my way.
Yep.
You're going to have to do stuff the hard way because they're not bright enough to see that the easy way is just as accurate.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going, thank you. And I'm going, put your damn cell phone down and pay attention, boy. Because that's the biggest drawback with the kids that I have to train now is they're of the generation that they cannot live without their cell phone going 24/7. I'm looking at them going, it's 3:00 in the morning. Who the fuck is stupid enough to be on the phone with you at 3:00 in the morning?
It's 2:41 right now.
Yes.
Well,
yeah. That's what I'm about to get ready to say. It's like, oh, I need to get up in a couple hours. I gotta get going.
Who the fuck is stupid enough to be watching Last Man Standing at 3 a.m.?
Conversation. I like being involved in this conversation because it's like you speaking volumes about my 9 to 5 job on both ends. It's like the people who I service and the people who I work with. When you work for a state agency, you see it on both sides, the incompetency. And you're up here like, why?
Well, and the problem is there is incompetency in the management, and there is incompetency in the trainees, and you're trying to get the trainees to figure out, don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain.
Yep.
This is the way the world works. Do it this way. And while they're watching, do it their way. But if they're not watching, do it the way that works.
Yeah, it's like you're the Wizard of Oz manipulating things behind the scenes to make it work.
That's the way I feel sometimes. It really is.
And going back to what you said, Dan, about the phones and all, it's so eerie how that Next Generation episode, remember where they had the virtual reality games?
Yep.
It's almost exactly like it.
It is. I'll be explaining something to the guy that I'm trying to train, and all of a sudden he goes off into left field and starts talking to somebody that ain't even there. And I'm going, oh, you've got your headphones on. You're on the phone. I'm trying to teach you how to do the job. Please pay attention. But that ain't going to happen. The company is going to be stuck with um, cell phone babysitter children
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
until that fad has run its course. But I do not have the capacity to understand
I got news for you.
why somebody has to be on their phone 24/7, 365. I know that they were raised with a cell phone as their babysitter. I grew up with kids being raised with a TV set as their babysitter.
Dan, it's not just that. Its authority does not want to be questioned, and if they can be diverted by a phone where they're not asking what the hell's going on, they're all in favor for it.
Yeah, well,
It's going to be a rude awakening for them because as things progress, there's going to be a throwback to manufacturing. There's going to be some of them that has to take those jobs in order to make money, whether they like it or not. They're going to have to put down those phones or else they're fired and they're going to be out there on the street. And then mommy and daddy's not going to take care of them. Period.
Mommy and daddy ain't going to be able to take care of them because mom and daddy's going to be in poor health.
Exactly.
unfortunately,
And they ain't going to be able to make
corporate
decisions
America
for the
is
kids.
catering to the cell phone generation and letting them get away with it. Whereas 20 years ago, you could be fired for being on your cell phone while you're on the job.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can still be
Nowadays,
doing it.
they can't do anything because it costs so much to train somebody through all the safety stuff that is mandatory now.
It depends on the circumstances. If they do a big enough screw up, they will be fired. But they let them get away with a lot more than they would have at one point.
Uh-huh. Exactly. And you've got folks that are going, "Oh, well, it's just life nowadays." And I'm going, uh, do you want to make a profit or do you want to babysit? Your choice.
Mhm.
I'm out of here in 28 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. You pay me my retirement money, I'll go away. If you need my advice after I retire, $1,000 an hour consulting fee. I've told them that right up front. Now they're trying to get away with do away with my job.
Yeah, they're
Well,
going
what
to do away
happens
with your
when-
job and cause more problems with production. I
Oh,
hate
yeah.
when you treat
Yeah.
production as a constant. It's not a constant. It depends on who you got doing that job. So any change that you make affects production.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this guy I'm training, he gets fantastic numbers for some of the tests. I mean, they're really amazing numbers, but he's cherry picking what he tests to
Yeah.
get those numbers. Whereas I would go, okay, it's this here, and it's way substandard here. He's going, oh, it's standard here, it's standard here, it's way above standard here, it's way above standard here, and that's all we need to know. I don't try and please folks. I tell them what reality is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because in the end, it's going to help them more knowing what the lowest quality stuff that they're pushing through.
Exactly. And we need to do this to improve the quality. Now, I have done things that would show them exactly how they can get the best test results. And I go, you can't go on the cheap if you don't spend the extra few pennies to make it this way.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you can have the accountant scream at you all you want.
Yeah.
But if you're willing to lose all your customers, go ahead and do it the accountant's way.
Well, they don't understand. Sometimes you have to spend money to make money.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not opposed to spending a few cents more in a few areas if it's going to pay off more in the long run.
Yeah. Well, they're not
Because
thinking of the long run, though.
Because sometimes you spend $1 saving 10 cents.
The corporate mentality has not shifted to the long. It's shifted away from the long run. It's shifted to, how can I make this look good for 3 to 5 years until I can get another job with somebody else?
Yeah.
That's why I don't like metrics, because it's like, why does this look good this month and it falls below standard the next month, and it only fell below standard because of 3 percentage points?
Yeah.
3 percentage points is not that critical as opposed to 15 or 20.
Yeah.
But yet your bean counters want to know, where's that 3%? We need to increase, get that production back up, or we need to get this particular area back up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you're not taking a look at production and like Chris said, the empirical side of it. What are people doing on the production side? How are people being impacted? Did we have a lot of people calling off sick? Did we have like an influx of people getting hurt?
Yep.
None of that stuff is in those numbers that most of the accountants are looking at.
Of course
Exactly.
not.
They're looking at time efficiency, material efficiency, and customer complaints.
Mm-hmm.
How can we balance making the cheapest crap we can possibly get away with
Mm-hmm.
as fast as we can possibly make it with the fewest complaints we can possibly get back?
It's kind of a blanket statement I made, but there's a lot of truth to it. I said the one thing that's going to be the ultimate downfall of this country is insatiable greed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have been saying that for 50 years, and I have yet to be proved wrong.
Because when all you care about is how much you're making, uh, everything else is either of little or no importance to you. Yeah, it makes a big difference.
It does, and I've been preaching to the to the deaf for
Mhm.
many years. Safety, quality, customer satisfaction. This is how you stay in business. Nobody listens.
Well, not
Nobody
only
listens.
that, if you treat your employees right, they'll be loyal to you. And that
Mm-hmm.
loyalty can get you a lot of stuff that you can't measure or quantify in immediate terms. But in the
Yeah,
long run, it's going to really make a difference.
but nowadays the pyramid of loyalty always goes from the bottom up
Mm-hmm.
rather than a
The
two-way
top down.
street of equal amount of loyalty from the top to the bottom.
Well, and I'll use my
They
grandfather.
demand loyalty from everybody working from them, but they have no loyalty to the people working for them.
Exactly, because they'll replace you as soon as they can if they
Mm-hmm.
have to.
Oh, believe
And
me, they can try, but they never will, because there are things that I do that nobody else knows how to do. And
Dan, I didn't mean that
they'll
in
put
a blanket form. What I
no,
mean
no, no.
is,
I'm saying
yeah.
there are lots of people out there just like me
Hmm.
that do things that are not readily understood by the bean counters.
Well, and it's like I told them, told people about me. They could replace me, but they'll have a hard time finding somebody to do everything that I've done to help things along.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And but like I said, I'll use my grandfather as another example. His original company that he hired in for got bought out by several companies over the years, and of course they acquired all the years of service. When he retired, it was 54 years with the same company. That doesn't happen anymore.
Nowhere close.
Yeah,
I will
Nowhere.
be retiring with 46 years with the same company.
and
And I
that
am a rarity,
yeah.
believe.
I mean, and the thing is, he was loyal to the company, and the company was loyal to him. You don't have that these days anymore, because it's not only the companies; it's the people running the companies.
Mhm.
Even if they're family companies, there's a lot of the kids that don't have the same values that the parents or the grandparents had.
This is true.
Mm-hmm.
This is well true. Yes, indeed.
All you got to do is take into consideration what are they trying to get out of it. And most of them, are wanting to make the company as profitable as they can on paper, whether anybody can see it or not.
Mhm.
That way, if they ever decide to sell, and they probably won't sell to grandpa or ma's, probably, either dead or in such bad health that they're not going to realize what's going on, and then they can sell it and make all the money that they want to.
The problem I run up against is that the company I work for has been in existence for over 200 years,
Yeah.
and they actually made the window glass and the mirrors for the Palace of Versailles.
Wow.
Yeah, they've got that on their record. But since the 60s, the accountants took over,
Yeah.
and it's all about fractions of a penny in profit rather than satisfying the customers with quality product.
Again, insatiable greed.
Mhm.
They just can't keep making more money. I mean,
Yep.
they can't make enough more money. They
Oh yeah, and they're never satisfied.
yeah,
They're ne-
because
you can make something perfect, and they go, "How can we make perfect cheaper?"
exactly.
And
It's a
you can't because we've tried.
the thing about it is, you can make we'll just use this example. Some company,
Mhm.
whatever name you want to give it to, they make a $10 to $15 million profit. Well, why couldn't we make $25 million in profit?
Hmm.
It's like, 10 or 15 million ain't bad, especially if it's not a huge company.
Hmm.
But it wasn't enough. They want to make 25 million.
And now that's when you do all of the cost cutting and all this other stuff, not knowing how it's going to affect the overall product that got you the 15 million in the first place.
Yep.
Exactly.
When you don't pay attention to what the customers want, eventually you go out of business because the customers go elsewhere.
Yeah. And the
Somebody
whole
that is willing to make the good stuff,
yeah,
no matter how much it costs. The people that are willing to make the smaller profit margin in order to keep customers.
yeah. And the thing is, 10, $15 million is nothing to scoff at.
Oh no. Um,
And
let's see. There was a few years back, my company made 18 billion worldwide,
wow.
and they were trying to figure out how to make more.
Yeah, well,
And I'm going, well, it's not by firing everybody.
no. And the thing is, they're not taking into consideration the adverse effect it has on the people remaining, because you're putting more stress on them, which
Mhm.
taxes their bodies more, which endangers their health more, which rises your health care cost up. They're not looking at indirect costs and other things that are involved that they're sacrificing for temporary profit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you've got
It's sort
into
of like a
this.
teenager. You think you know all the world's problems, yet you don't realize how interconnected things are.
Mm-hmm.
You see one
Exactly.
thing that's
Exactly.
obviously
I couldn't have said
glaring,
it better myself.
and you don't see the other stuff that maybe don't have as visible ties to it, but are tied nonetheless to it. You know,
They're
you
they're thinking
somebody
about
said,
the visible costs rather than the invisible costs that don't get invoiced.
yeah,
Health care, uh, wear and tear on your workforce,
yeah.
skill of your workforce, even though you consider them to be unskilled labor.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
as somebody said years ago, it's a shame all the world's problems didn't come along when we were teenagers and we knew it all.
Oh God, yes. Back when we knew everything. Oh Lord. I'd like to teach the world to sing. Yeah. Unfortunately, half of them are singing "Kumbaya" and the other half is singing Three Dog Night songs. So that
So
don't make us
because
that well.
Jeremiah was a bullfrog.
Yep.
Now you're making me think about this one graphic that they always show in these managerial training type things about the iceberg.
Oh yeah.
Everybody sees the iceberg above the water. It's like, oh, that's an iceberg. We should be able to get around it or go around this and this, that, and the other. But nobody thinks about what's below the water.
Yep.
And how deep it goes and how wide it really is. We only see the peak of it.
Yep.
We don't know how truly big it was.
Yep.
And you know my analysis of the iceberg?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The 10% you see above water is the corporate stupidity that you're having to deal with day after day.
Mm-hmm.
The 90% underwater is the corporate stupidity that you don't know is going on, but you know is going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that's what keeps you from succeeding, is all this blinder wearing, single focus stuff where you're ignoring exactly what made you a great company to start with.
Blake Edwards summed it up perfectly in his 1981 movie. SOB, standard operational bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I often apply the snafu principle at work.
Yep.
So
Situation normal, otherwise.
All effed up.
All
Yep.
fucked up. Yeah. And I'm not afraid to say it. It's my damn show.
Well, that's all I gotta bid you guys to do, because I do have to be up in a couple hours.
Yeah, I gotta get
Well,
some sleep too. I got a funeral.
We've been going since 1 a.m. So thank you both for being here.
Not
And
a
Bill,
problem.
even though you had to leave early, thank you too. I'm gonna play a commercial here and just you wind out the show. Y'all go ahead and clock out.
All right.
And yeah, the check's in the mail.
I enjoyed it. I'll talk to y'all later.
Yeah, we gotta wait for the new United States Post Office to mail it. Delayed 3 days now.
Yeah. Elton John is delivering the new mail. Rocket mail.
All right. Until next time, we'll see you.
All right. Have a good evening, everybody.
All right. Bye.
Thank you very much. Welcome to the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. Here you'll find a variety of shows which cover a wide array of interests, from comics to creativity, mysteries to mixology, and science to history. There's something for all interests at the Rising Tide. There are shows every day of the week, daytime and nighttime. So take a look at our schedule and see what appeals to you. If you're interested in comics, both independent and mainstream, check out Comics Chaos and Sass, or Comic Book Spectrum, or From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher. If you want encouragement and advice on furthering your creativity, we have Creative as Hail and Tidbits and Scribbles. If you enjoy mysteries and conspiracy theories, we have The Truth Mongers. If you're into interviews with up-and-coming talents, there is a TED Talks made just for you, as well as clever title pending. If you're into classic combat sports, there's the Historical Fencing Guild. And if you want to know what it's like to hang out with convention regulars, we have Stupid O'Clock and Last Man Standing. If you want witty repartee and fast-paced fun, check out Nevermind the Furthermore. If the science of rocketry and spaceflight is your thing, we have Armchair Rocket Science. But that's by no means all the Rising Tide has to offer. New shows will be added as they develop, so stay tuned. All Rising Tide shows share a spirit of mutual cooperation, under the philosophy that a rising tide raises all ships. Lightly ruled over by our comic ringmaster of mayhem, Brian K. Morris, we support and promote each other's works. What helps one of us to greater success helps all of us achieve even more successes. So look at the schedule, check out the shows, and we're sure that you will want to come back for more. You're still here? Didn't we tell you go to bed? Don't you have something to do tomorrow? I know I do. Um, Come on, folks. We're not that entertaining, are we? Well, thank you for sticking around. How can I put this? It's late at night. It's 2 a.m. The thrill is gone. I'm sitting here waiting. Let's not quote that song any further so I don't get sued. Um, I don't know who you are. I know I can see one of you is still watching. And thank you very much for being our most dedicated fan. But it is time to say goodnight, everybody, for this edition of Last Man Standing. And while we won't see each other for several days, but thank you for being here. Um, you have my utmost appreciation, and everybody else that is on the show really appreciates you too, because you are the reason that we keep doing this stuff. As crazy as our conversations can get from time to time, we have a great deal of fun entertaining you, and that's the entire purpose of what we do, is to entertain you. And the secondary purpose is for us to have a whole lot of fun, just hanging out and talking. That's the big deal. We entertain you, we hang out and talk and entertain ourselves. But thank you very much. And I'm going to pull the plug on this night's broadcast. 2 hours and 7 minutes or thereabouts. And I'll see you later on in the week, if at all possible, depending on my work schedule. Good night.